We have team coverage this evening, including reaction from lawmakers on Capitol Hill with Jason Calvi. But first, we start with correspondent Mark Irons at the White House. Good evening, Mark.
Good evening, Lauren. After conflicting reports from the White House and Democrats, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, President Trump says he's fairly close to a deal with congressional leaders to preserve protections for young, undocumented immigrants living in America.
President Trump is visiting Florida post-Irma, but the future of the Dreamers is on his mind.
We're not talking about amnesty. We're talking about taking care of people that were brought here, people that have done a good job and were not brought here of their own volition.
Last week, the president announced the end of the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, known as DACA. He wants Congress to decide the fate of nearly 800,000 undocumented immigrants currently living in the U.S. Ever since, negotiations have been in full swing. After a White House dinner last night, Democratic leaders Senator Chuck Schumer and Representative Nancy Pelosi said in a statement, "We agreed to enshrine the protections of DACA into law quickly and to work out a package of border security, excluding the wall, that's acceptable to both sides." But Trump slammed on the brakes this morning, tweeting, "No deal was made last night on DACA. Massive border security would have to be agreed to in exchange for consent, would be subject to vote." The president says that ultimately funding for a border wall with Mexico must be part of any immigration deal.
But very importantly, what we want, we have to have a wall. If the wall is going to be obstructed, when we need the funds at a little bit later date, we'll be determining how much we need, then we're not doing anything.
Right. Pope Francis is urging President Trump to rethink his decision to end DACA. The Holy Father says anyone who calls himself pro-life should keep families together. For its part, the White House says the Trump administration acted lawfully to correct the unconstitutional actions taken by President Obama. It is now up to Congress to act on behalf of the American people.
Catholic bishops continue to express disappointment with the administration's decision to end DACA. This week, the bishops are calling on Catholics to contact their representatives in Congress to urge the passage of legislation that supports Dreamers. The church teaches that we should welcome foreigners, but we also have to uphold the law for the common good. Lauren.
Mark, I understand the president took a first-hand tour of Irma's devastation in just a few hours. What did he see?
The president toured the hurricane damage in Naples, Florida, and was joined by the First Lady and Vice President. He shook hands and handed out sandwiches to victims of the storm. It was also a chance for him to see how FEMA is responding. Tonight, many Florida residents still don't have electricity. In fact, 2.7 million homes and businesses are still without power.
Correspondent Mark Irons reporting from the White House. Thank you, Mark.